but I think 24 is the most fucking joyless thing I have ever seen. This was a slog. The time it took me to get through one season alone felt like the equivalent of eating a bag of flour for dinner. Yes, I had technically filled the hours just like that bag would fill the necessary calories, but I was angry that I had the option of consuming nothing as opposed to the emptiness I had just filled up on. Characters are flatter than even strawmen in Dinesh D'Souza films, of which I have seen all of. Events are confusing, boring, then confusing again, and then boring again. There's no mirth, insight, or really anything. It's digging through a fast food bag and just finding napkins. It was created by Soul-Patch conservative psycho Joel Surnow. 24 is probably the only thing less engaging than another one of Cernow's TV outings, the half-hour news hour. If there's any morality or MO or anything beyond soulless man kills, it's that the ends justify the means. I'm fine with morally uninteresting or even morally disagreeable or even bad fare as long as it's somewhat interesting or entertaining. Or anything, but Surnow and co-creator Robert Cochran have to be the two dullest assholes to have ever lived to have created this. For whatever reason, this show was immensely popular. It didn't just light up living rooms throughout the Midwest, it animated legal arguments by our nation's most corpulent jurists. Antonin Scalia, late Supreme Court Justice, famously cited 24's use of torture as a legal justification, stating in a speech in Ottawa, "Jack Bauer saved Los Angeles. He saved hundreds of thousands of lives. Are you going to convict Jack Bauer?" Judge Scalia challenged his fellow judges. "Say that criminal law is against him? You have the right to a trial jury? Is any jury going to convict Jack Bauer? I don't think so." So the question is really whether we believe in these absolutes, and we ought to believe in these absolutes. Scalia repeatedly referred to 24 when arguing that it was not unconstitutional for the U.S. to torture. But he was not alone. Many in the U.S. national security state found themselves to be Jack Bauers, trapped in bodies that are always for some reason sitting down. It was an animating piece of drama for the many viceroys of an American empire, or at least the last time that everyone believed in the American empire. I don't think a show like this could be made now. It's not for politically correct reasons either. 24, despite its horrifying moral view of the world, does the Hollywood thing, where most terrorists end up being white guys or, true to life, in many of its Maryland suburbs fans, funded by wealthy stakeholders of the deep state. No, it's because it lacks any characteristic. Even the most frothing Trump fan would demand characters like Bauer have some cultural resentment, some signal to their own lives, or some marker of identity politics they could cling to. No one would accept such a dull Superman as a protagonist outside a Marvel film now. Maybe, for once, that's one thing that's better about culture now. So, I've been very curious to see what you had to say about this, because this is my least favorite thing I've ever watched for show purposes or anything.
Well, for me, I remember when the show came out, and it was a gimmick show. It's called 24 because there's 24 episodes, and so every episode is an hour in a 24-hour period. So it's supposed to be this propulsive real-time event, but it has fucking commercials in it.
Yeah, it's 40 minutes, which thank God.
So it's not an hour. So it's not real time. The very premise is underdone before it even begins. But so I never really loved it. But I watched, of course, the first season, which was one of those cultural rituals that made 9/11 happen. The first season of 24, that was just like begging 9/11 to happen. And then when it happened right after it debuted, and there was a big controversy about the first episode because it featured a plane getting blown up, it was guaranteed to be the show of the war on terror. It was just right place, right time, and it became the lens through which we experienced what it was to be fighting the domestic front of our new normal, involving the reality of potentially apocalyptic terrorism at any moment.
Well, that's what's so interesting if you go back to this time, and really just from the mid-90s to right before 9/11, because there's a lot of terrorism shit. There's a lot. 9/11 that isn't what caused terrorism as a thing in our cultural imagination. It was a big thing during the 90s, and I think...
Absolutely, huge.
It was a big thing because it was happening. I mean, people attempted to blow up the World Trade Center, and They, of course, only succeeded. Ramsey Youssef and company only succeeded in killing about 8 people. But it was sort of the perfect problem for the end of history that we thought we were in. If the big bad nation is gone, if the big bad super empire that we're fighting against, the only empire on Earth, we're not an empire, we're just a nice country. The only thing that can be done to us is random acts of violence and chaos. And the only way you can wipe them out is both with the biggest national security state ever created, while simultaneously the welfare state is getting pulled back and minced into nothingness. And by approaching these fundamental problems of human evil and rage and whatever, like all these problems we thought we were on the verge of solving now that we had balanced the budget deficit. It's like there is stuff pre this time that refers to terrorism, because in the 70s that was sort of the golden age of plane hijackings.
Oh yeah,
and you can watch a lot of really shitty Chuck Norris movies where he's like a Delta Commando taking down PLO or PFLP, where the two of the biggest villains you could find in films at the time. And Die Hard is about terrorism. But
they are. People forget it, but in the movie they are former like Red Army faction guys, like Biederman dudes who just decided to get paid after the wall fell.
The villains in this show are interesting to me, though. Well, I think this first season, I love these villains because they're Balkan villains, which is so like pathetic 90s shit. Like the idea that like American empire was threatened by the fucking Serbians is hilarious. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I know.
I think this is the first thing I've seen, because I've seen stuff. There's like movies like The Siege where terrorists are just like mindless killing machines. And they are in this too. But that's the difference between like earlier depictions of terrorists and more current ones, where it's like they just want to kill you. There's no even delving into the ideology. Like for the guys that want to kill Bauer in this first season, it's because Bauer was part of like a Black Ops raid team that was approved by the president. They also want to kill the president, who like killed this Serbian guy's wife and daughter, which is one of those things where it's like, well, they kind of have a point. I mean, in turn, they go after his wife and daughter, which is like not cool. But,
Felix, you've seen The Peacemaker, right?
Yes.
With Clooney and Kidman. Yeah. That's another terrorism movie from around this period that uses Balkans as the bad guys. And in both cases, it's the same deal. It's explicitly written up as direct blowback for American intervention in the Yugoslav war, right? Because in Peacemaker, it's because the guy's daughter gets killed by like a Croat or something, and then the U.S. stops him before he can do all the genocide he wanted to, so he nukes the UN building. And this is like pissed. But either way, it's like they're mad at us for intervening in their blood feud. And it's amazing how they're willing, like they totally accelerate in that context that like terrorism is, in the European context, it's blowback. Like you do a thing and people get you back for doing it. But now when that turns into Muslims, that mechanism just goes away and it just becomes pure malevolence.
Yeah, they just biologically want to kill Americans.
Right.
Or like, that is something I think is interesting about the morality and the political universe of 24. Because I was talking to people about it and they said, oh, well, it's interesting. And you notice this in later seasons. I watched a little bit of them and read up a bit, where they do this very like mid 2000s thing where they could tell, and like even if the creators are conservative, it's still written by Hollywood sickos, where liberals got obsessed with like private military contractors, Blackwater, Halliburton and stuff. And it became like, oh, it's not really the terror. Like, yes, it is the terrorists, but they're put forth by these sort of malicious corporate actors. And what I think is interesting about that is, even if you're putting that message out there, the political message, like, which I agree with, that like a lot of this shit is Gladio, or it is the deep state, or it is whatever. Making this type of show where the result is still the same, where the result is still, hey, every American, anyone is just going to be blown up and fucking killed anytime. So we still need this deep state.
Well, that's because it's this, like, people pointed out at the time how funny it was that these right-wing ideologues who made the show, the actual plots of the show always ended up sort of being about corporate power allied with, bought-off members of the government doing false flag terror attacks. And once again, you got a deal where art is just prefiguring politics, because that is like the early articulations of QAnon, basically. Like, because the show started when the war in Iraq was still a possible victory. It was still a going concern. It was where the psychic energy of the conservative movement was on, like, this is it. This is where we're going to create the new American consensus reality in the world. We're going to impose it at this frontier. We're going to have a border again. It's going to be outside of America. It's going to be a place for us to concentrate our will. And that cracked up. And in the wreckage of that is when people started pointing fingers, like, why are we at these wars? And of course, because nobody understands anything beyond the level of just politics is spectacle. You go, there's bad guys and then there's good guys within the government. There's bad secret agents and there's good secret agents, and they're fighting each other.
And everyone has them.
Yeah.
Like, the right wing, their bad secret agent was Valerie Plame.
Yes.
And then, like, but the conclusion is still the same, that most secret agents are good and they're on my side.
Yes.
And yeah, it is the result of a critique of individual war that isn't a critique of empire or capital, where it's just like you're just mashing figurines together. And it's it's a very ideologically interesting show for that reason, and it gave me a lot of flashbacks to this time, because do you remember this is a big liberal blogsphere thing in the mid 2000s, where it's like, we invaded the wrong country. We should have invaded Iran.
Yeah.
It was a grim time, man. Like, you think it's bad now. It was even worse back then. But that very much fits in the politics and the universe of 24. I was interested, though, something generally, and I guess this is going to happen with any gimmick show, but the characters are so fucking bland.
Oh God, yeah,
nothing.
They have nothing. They're dialogue boxes. They're NPCs in video games.
Yeah, and I why was this so popular?
It's because I think it was channeling that moment. I really do think it would not have been as popular without 9/11. I think 9/11 just made it sort of this collective fantasy that we were all having. Like, it was part of our new consciousness that had assimilated the reality of terrorism as a new psychic frontier. That meant having like a language to think about it in, and think about things like, what could happen? Well, here's a show that has a bunch of different things that could happen. And then what are we going to do about it? Including questions like, well, how do we deal with a thing like a ticking nuclear bomb going off, and only one guy knows the answer, and we got to get it out of him, and there's only 15 minutes left, and oh my God, we're cutting to a commercial break, and look, it's going down. Boom, boom, boom. It's like it was our collective, like, Jungian fantasy of the war on terror. And so the fact that the characters were non-existent added to that. It gave everything a purely schematic reality. It was just purely what it was, just things happening, like our dream of the news, basically.
Still, though, like, I think you're completely right. But still, though, I was amazed this went on so long with, and I don't think Kiefer Sutherland is a bad actor, but it's like what he was given script-wise, there's so little characterization that it amazed me it fucking went on this long. It's incredible. It's incredible. They gave you so little, and no character has anything. Like,
God,
have you seen the second
His
season?
Daughter. Oh my God, they have to have her get attacked by a mountain lion just to give some sort of sense of plot.
Yeah. Well, the second season, one of the only characters I even remember besides the central characters is, you remember Reza?
Mm-hmm.
Reza is this Muslim who's, obviously involved in some dirty dealings, but they have a scene where it's right before he's getting married to this perfect white woman, and the girl's sister is like, I think this guy's a little weird. He's a little Muslim for my taste. And like, they make him totally, like, he's totally westernized. He doesn't have an accent. He just wears like shitty, like, Old Navy t-shirts, but he'll be things like, oh yeah, in my house, women can't talk. Like, just insane. But they give her the both girls' parents, they give her this like rich liberal cuck dad who's wearing like the liberal cuck outfit for 2002, which is like a fancy bowling shirt and a goatee.
Oh, that was the look. That was like like a soft ex-hippie
and
dad.
There would be these ridiculous scenes where like the good, suspicious daughter would be like, "Don't you think it's weird that Reza has a book that's called like How to Stone Women or whatever?" And the dad would be like, "Oh, come on, just because he's Muslim, what the hell, Kate?" Like just ridiculous. Like you could tell what was this or now edition. But the character of Kim Bauer is interesting to me because she does have some characterization, but her characterization, it is like, it's a middle-aged man's a rich middle-aged man's interpretation of his daughter, which is like this dumb bitch who everything happens to.
Like she is your obligation, but you have no sense of affection towards her. Yeah,
no, like it's for Bauer, she's just this thing that he has to do. He's this like idiot he has to save. And she like runs away. She becomes a nanny to this guy who's like killing his young daughter. Like it's weird storylines. But it's like there will always be something where Bauer is like, "Oh, honey, they're gonna blow up Los Angeles. You have to leave." And she'll be like, "Fuck you, Dad." Like the stuff with the women characters is insane. Like they do my favorite trope from this time, which is we have a perfect hero who has no emotions or weaknesses in Bauer. Like the only thing that you could do to him, and they do this in the first season, is make him mad. They're like, "Oh, let's trick him by making him mad." And it turns out when he's mad, he's even better at killing. You really fucked up there. Yeah, like the Serbians try to convince him that they killed his daughter, and he powers up so much he just murders all of them. Like it's so fucking dumb.
Oh no, we made him too pissed.
Yeah, like why didn't you just do that before? But they do my favorite thing with a character like Bauer, which is he's perfect. He has no weaknesses, but he has this stupid idiot wife who has like a cool 12-year-old boy's haircut, like the short haircut. Yeah. This is very popular in the late 90s. And she just dies. She just gets fucking killed at the end of the first season. By the Serbians, of course. Like, who else? But now he's free to get as much poon as possible without being a bad guy.
Hell yeah.
Because they can't, like, even that, which is, like, a very tried trope in the anti-hero genre, but this was before that. Like, you can't, okay, this guy's, like, the perfect counterterrorism agent. He can kill anyone. When he gets mad, he has double power. He loves his daughter. He's always honest. He does the right thing. Or he's not always honest, but even when he lies, it's just to save more lives.
It's for the greater good.
Yeah. He cheats on his wife. He's horny. It's like, no. His wife dies.
Yeah, his freaking wife dies. But that's the thing is that Jack Bauer must pay this outrageous price in life of the people around him for fighting for America's freedom. Like he takes on he's like a Christ-like figure, really, because everyone he loves dies or betrays him at some point. It's this ruined man. But he keeps moving forward because he is the only one who can save America. He really is a modern Matt Dillon in that respect. He is charged with a duty that he must carry off. And he does it even though it makes him miserable because no one else can. Just like America is the only country that can do the job, even though there is no reward for it. We're certainly not doing it to maintain a global empire that is, advantageous to our financial interests.
Well, perhaps then that's a mirroring of art to politics again, because throughout the war on terror and throughout 24's run, things got so much worse in America. But low-income homeowners or people in all of New Orleans or whoever, they're Kim Bauer. Yeah. They're Alicia Cuthbert. They're whoever. We're all just victims of this amazing morally correct fight. Not even that it's morally correct. We're not even bringing it to them. That's what's so insane about 24. It's always brought to us. That's the most insane fantasy about it.
We don't seek violence. We only have to rise up. We have to drop our hoe and pick up our saber because of others who would do us ill, even though all we're trying to do is raise our damn kids.
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting that you bring up Dillon because even though Gunsmoke, it is the first TV show of this type, it is, first of all, I think it's comprehensively better. But Dylan is so much more of an interesting character than Bauer in every way. And it's incredible. You watch Gunsmoke, and we talked about it in our first episode about Gunsmoke. They don't even know what they're doing camera-wise. Like, you see in that first 3 seasons, you see these bizarre cuts and zoom-ins. Like, they're not even sure what they're supposed to be doing. But the character of Dylan, he has this depth. He's sort of stupid in this way. He's traumatized. He doesn't save the day. And he has they have an amazing approach to him. And, people obviously accepted Dylan as America, and he did represent America in a lot of ways. But it was sort of a more nuanced view of America than Jack Bauer.
Like you could say, like we said last talking about Gunsmoke, like that was a show that was made by and for people who had experienced World War II, the Great Depression before that. Whereas the people making and watching 24 are largely the generation who avoided all the worst of that burden of being an American, and so for them, they are trying to create this counterfeit world wariness, and the only way they could do it is just by killing characters and having him go no in exchange, instead of having an actual nuanced characterization, because it's a fantasy to them. It's a fantasy of trauma. The thing they're really interested to is the violence he's dishing out, because they've never felt it, the other end of it.
You know what it is? 24 is what gave us that ethos. Do whatever you want to me, but don't touch my family.
Yeah.
That is exactly where it came from. Jack Bauer is the cool Grim Reaper in the hoodie saying that.
Yes.
But they always do it to his family. Do it to him. He's just going to get more powerful. It's going to be like you're going to need mass graves for all the Serbs he runs into. But I think you can't understand the show and can't understand this type of conservative ethos without understanding the creators and guys like Cernow and everything, and all the Hollywood conservatives and the people who lost their mind after 9/11, without talking about Vietnam.
Yes.
I think Vietnam is the most important insight to this, because this type of conservative, and there were a lot of them in the culture at the time. Not so much now, but at this time, really up until like Obama is when we stopped seeing these guys as much. And that was as much an age thing as it was anything. None of these guys went to Vietnam.
Mm-mm.
To the man, none of them went.
Not one.
Yeah, James Woods didn't go. Cernow didn't go.
John Voight.
None of them went. There's always an excuse, or I was becoming a priest and I also had leprosy at the time.
Or at that time, they thought they were politically opposed to the war, and it turns out over time they realized, I was just opposed to me getting my ass shot in a war that I didn't think we could win.
Right. And I'm not saying it's not at all a good thing to go to Vietnam. It doesn't make you a good person. No one's saying that. But it does show that thing that no one gives a shit about, hypocrisy. But they do have a trauma. They do have a psychic trauma of having not gone.
Yes, exactly. That's their Vietnam, is not having gone to Vietnam.
And the biggest trauma to them is that there's some arguments they can't win, that they don't look as good as they could have, that they can't make their case for empire as much, that they have nothing to show for their complete bloodlust and insanity, that it's never been their ass on the line. They've never had skin in the game. And so they make this insane art that's like, well, Vietnam's over. And I'm 50 years old now, and I have a soul patch. And, I'm on divorce number 3. I have a paunch. I'm never going to do anything, probably. But what if it came here?
Yes.
What if it came here? And another thing, what is Cernow really into? Israel.
Oh, God, yes, of course.
There's this whole country you could go to, because that, by the circumstances of its creation and its operation, is at that time way more than now, constantly under threat of terrorism. Don't ask me why. It's just because they're psychos. Palestinians are just
they hate
anti-Semitic.
pizza
They just wanna
places.
kill us.
They just hate the idea of pizza.
That was how the second Intifada was reported to Americans.
Yes. Oh yeah. Just they hate pizza.
And guys like Cerna and other Hollywood conservatives, and oftentimes were Jewish, most of the time not, they would go to Israel for some dumbass reason, you know, some like press junket or like, oh, we're working on the film industry in Israel. They would go there and like, you know, some fucking slickster would be like, oh yeah, we get attacked by terrorists every day, but it never stops us. They go, oh my God, this is my fun. I could do this. What if they came here? Yeah. What if I was just eating pizza with my daughter who I hate and they killed her? I'd be so mad.
Oh, I'd be so pissed. I'd go, oh!
Yeah, and then I would power up like Jack Bauer.
Yeah, no, they would be done for. I mean,
yeah.
and you know what? Since the only thing that would make me do that is the horror of, you know, having to protect or avenge my family, I won't know until it happens. But trust me, when it happens, it'll happen. And of course, the reason you're able to do this and you're able to put so much energy into it is because you know deeper than anything that it's not going to fucking happen.
It will never happen.
It will never happen. So you get to go crazy imagining it.
Yeah, you know in your heart of hearts, you're a smart enough guy that, you know, the Serbians or the PLO, they're not coming to Sherman Oaks.
No.
It's not happening to you. So you get to work yourself into this froth. But only, you know, two guys were so lucky that they created a very long-running show on this premise. And that is what 24 is.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I do have to ask, though, you're more of a student of the conservative blog sphere at the time.
Oh, yes.
Did you see a lot of people, like, identifying with Jack Bauer?
No, like that. That's the thing about Scalia. People have made a point about this many times. Is that for all people who laud him for his witty judicial decisions, he wrote like a right-wing blogger from the the Bush years. He wrote like one of those awful assholes like Tacitus or fucking Ace of Spades.
Oh,
I remember
Ace
these pieces of
suck.
shit.
That is one guy.
Kim Dutois. Oh God, and he wrote just like them, and he had the same fixations, and they had the same fixations. Like Jack Bauer was America. Jack Bauer's violence was in defense of American liberty and safety, and it was therefore legitimate because he was carrying it out. And they were like that online. They were the Jack Bauers of the blogosphere, fighting the terrorist sympathizers on the left who were trying to undermine his ability, the real Jack Bauer's ability. It's like one of those like it would be if there was a Ben Garrison ad. If Ben Garrison was doing stuff like that back then, it would have been like Jack Bauer is like using a lamp to electrocute a terrorist, and it's in a thought bubble. In his head, he's a thought bubble of this guy at a computer, like fighting against somebody from Lawyers, Guns, and Money, and he's like, we're doing the same fight, and they both, you know, have the same look. That was how they thought of it.
Scott Lemieux getting waterboarded.
It's all like nesting. There's like the operators. There's guys like Jack Bauer, and then online there's me. Oh, and of course in the political arena there's absolute chads like George W. Bush and Donald Rumsfeld, and then online there's me. It's a great chain of Bauers.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I think Bauer is very like it's pre-identity politics in a lot of ways. Like there's always identity politics in American media, but
of course,
like. If there was a show like this today, like I alluded to it in the intro, he would be more explicit. Like he would own a bakery and like gay people force him to bake a cake.
He would have to, because no one's getting off on this sort of. That was the thing about the War on Terror, is that we had the enemy was conceived of exteriorly. Now you might hate liberals, but you hate liberals for undermining your freedom against the real threat, your freedom of action to defeat the real threat, which was external. Now, post-Iraq, post-COVID, post-collapse, 2008 collapse, the enemy is within. And so no show like this that would specifically have to cater to that niche audience, because it would get canceled by, you know, the broader demographic. It would have to be counter-programming by definition. And so it would have to stoke all of every, it would have to hit every button. It would have to be totally indulgent of like epic, you know, there's like, there's a bitch congresswoman trying to defund the CTU, and he has to save her from terrorists. It's like, LOL, bitch. Like that. There's no way it would work without that, because that's what people are in for. It. They don't care about some foreign terrorist. He's not the enemy.
No, yeah, he's just doing his job. He's supposed to hate America. You're not supposed to. You're an American. Like, I thought it was useful to compare this to you've watched some episodes of Homeland, yeah?
Oh God, I watched the first season.
Yeah. It's an entertaining show. I mean, it's way more entertaining than this.
It was definitely more. It's like, that's definitely the Libs 24. It had like prestige trappings, much more character depth, but basically the same bird-breaded crackpot realist, eternal war on terror worldview.
Yeah, and it's like politically like awful.
Oh, terrible.
But it's like it's an entertaining show. But what I think is interesting is they make our Jack Bauer isn't like, there is a guy on that show, Quinn, who is like a superpowered operator who could kill everyone. And they give him some like little storylines. But our main like Jack Bauer, insofar as that they're a protagonist, is like a erratically mentally ill woman, which is so funny.
Absolutely. She's essentially doing like she's turning herself into a cross between like a fucking a guild navigator and a fucking precog to just try to pierce the veil of reality to find the truth about like the Hezbollah Al-Qaeda plot to just destroy America.
Yeah, and I thought it's an interesting successor to 24, and I think it's the most clear successor to it. Because A, it's obviously geared more towards liberals, but B, like instead of making the hero this sort of like stoic, taciturn, solemn father, it makes it just an insane woman. But it's like, hey, you got to be insane to be right about this stuff.
It's like those and those are the two like archetypes of culture that are going to emerge like from the splitting of the atom after the end of the war on terror being the primary like psychic lodestar of American politics. You can either be a Jack Bauer, a conservative operator with a racist coffee label and a bunch of tattoos, or you could be a weepy but very damn smart and damn competent a white woman who's tired of being ignored just because she cries when she realizes another connection in her fucking corkboard shoestring conspiracy.
Yeah, and also she ends up fucking the target of the investigation.
Oh damn! Oh snap!
Oh whoops!
Oh darn it! That's sex. I'm gonna get. It's like James Angleton and fucking Kim Philby all over again, but with like ass play.
Well, who knows? Maybe they really did want to be British, but
it's possible.
Well, I mean, they were both a little old for each other in that case, but no, exactly. It's but yeah, the common thread, and was Zero Dark 30. Zero Dark 30 doesn't do as much of the characterization with its main character because the real people they're basing it on probably weren't like on antipsychotics and like fucking Osama bin Laden.
Yeah, most likely not.
That would make that movie way better. In fact, it would have had sort of like a Bridesmaid feel. But
now we're talking.
Yeah, I mean, Zero Dark 30 I despise for reasons similar to 24, and I think it's even more sinister because it's like it doesn't have like the entertaining or dumbass elements so much of Homeland.
Yeah, that's the thing. You don't even get the entertainment.
Yeah, but it's like it's exactly as evil. But it's like, oh, what if a woman did it? Well,
yeah.
Like at least with Homeland, it's like, well, she kind of fucks up at her job a lot, and like everyone's mad at her all the time. But like, hey, we kind of did it. It's like Homeland is like, for all its evil and bad messages, it is sort of like God bless this mess type deal.
Yeah, like shucks, Carrie, how can I be mad at you? Because it is this broad melodrama, whereas. Yeah, Zero Dark 30 is an attempt to take the prima facie criminal act in a series of criminal acts and turn them into a story of like feminine perseverance in the face of patriarchy. Just breathtaking.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of Dick Cheney's pheasant hunt, but using it as an act of personal validation and victory.
Yeah.
Like they do in Zero Dark 30, they draw that through line between her friend getting killed at that restaurant and then killing bin Laden. And it's like, you didn't have to be here. None of you did.
Why are you in Afghanistan, dude?
Yeah, what are you doing here? And the guy we said we were after, we only got him after a fucking decade because he was being held like a wounded rabbit by the ISI.
Yeah,
and
they
all
were
right,
just
you
like-
can have him.
It's like, damn, my son wants to start a record label, so I'm going to need that $25 million bonus.
Well, bro, we won't know that guy's identity in his lifetime, but I want one day to find out about the guy who.
I would love to know who dropped the dime there.
Yeah, and I want to see how his shitty son is blowing the money because you know that's there.
Oh, you know it. He's got that Bin Laden money. He's like trying to do Fast and the Furious shit with Ferraris.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, if you are this guy or you know him, please let us know. If you are the son of the corrupt ISI officer who ended up selling out Bin Laden and giving him to the Obungler, you're probably a listener to our show, right? Like you're probably like, yeah, my dad made a bunch of money back in 2010s.
Did you by any chance start a small literary magazine? Because that'd be really funny if you did like the Toast with the Bin Laden hit money. That would be really funny.
I paid Steve Rogenbuck $3 million with my SEAL Team 6 money. But yeah, no, much more sinister movie. But yeah, I consider those two sort of the successors to 24 in that aspect. I found myself drawing a comparison the more I watched 24 and more aptly slogged through it. This was a slog. This was horrible to watch. I am so glad I never have to fucking watch this again. It is the perfect opposite of Sons of Anarchy, I think, if you're going to draw things from this time frame. That was sort of one of my concluding thoughts on watching it was that it is like it Sons of Anarchy was on it broadly at the same time. Sons of Anarchy kind of came on at the end of 24, but I think they're both shows that are about America, where protagonists represent America. But Jack Bauer is this joyless and completely inaccurate depiction of America as like just cold competence who, like, even if you're this guy's dumb idiot daughter who gets herself kidnapped and attacked by a mountain lion, or his idiot wife who gets herself killed, like, he's going to be there for you. And if he's not there for you, if you die or you do get kidnapped, he's just going to go crazy killing people.
He's going to get so fucking pissed on your behalf. But you will be fucking avenged.
Yeah, but Jax Teller, you can do all that to him and he's going to kill 40 of the wrong people.
Yeah.
But you do, like, I never found myself feeling bad for Jack Bauer. Mm-mm. Even though he's like in the hazy, awful moral universe of the show, he's kind of doing the right thing, if that's what you think the world is. Jax Teller is always doing the wrong thing, but by accident.
Yeah, he's not, he doesn't even have, you can't even squint at his motives and find anything good. Because, like, all right, yes, the critique of Jack Bauer is that he's perpetuating this monstrous, world-bestriding capitalist machinery of death, and the war on terror is just like a public justification for its mechanism. Yes, but at the same time, given the reality of the show, instead of this world where most terrorist threats are made up by the FBI, where you just give a fucking a speak and spell to a mentally handicapped 16-year-old Muslim guy, and you tell him that it's a fucking suicide bomb. This is a world where actual biological weapons exist, where suitcase nukes not only exist, they are in America, and the fucking count is clocking down. In that world, maybe, yes, you want to fight to get rid of the system that makes this keep happening, but in the short term, holy shit, do you really want that guy there? So he's got that going for him morally, no matter what he does. Whereas Jax Teller, I would just want to hang out with my friends on my cool motorcycles.
Yeah, no, he wants to have a social club, and as a result, has killed 7,000 people.
Yeah, it's like, I just like hanging out with the dudes.
But it's like,
I just want to have a cool clubhouse. And he's murdered 500,000 innocent people. For considering how many guns he sold and involves himself with, like, the fucking Sinaloa cartel, like chainsaw wielding sicarios. How much death has he directly been involved? How many people in Charming died as friendly fire or mistaken identity? All so that they can have a cool clubhouse where they all hang out.
Yeah, and what's amazing about all this, and when I watched Sons of Anarchy, like, I knew this. I was always like, Jax, why are you doing this? In fact,
stop it.
yeah,
Jack.
like what's the point of any of this? You could just get a job at CVS and probably make more than what you're making.
And you probably have health insurance.
yeah. It's, you're immiserating the world in this already awful, sad NorCal town. But I constantly found myself like feeling bad for him and sympathizing with the character, because I was like, well, if you were like as dumb as he is and everyone in this group is, like, of course you would end up here. Of course you would you would try to sell like, New York Giant shirts that were hijacked from a truck and you accidentally kill 500 people with a suitcase. Of course that would happen to you. Like, yeah, you can't handle anything. There's a percentage of the population that can't handle anything, and they're all in Sam Crow Redwood Original.
Yeah, and that's endearing. Whereas the cold competence of Jack Bauer, it's very alienating and downright un-American, honestly. And
they both make them Christ figures. I mean, Jax Teller more curiously, because it's like, what were his good works? Like, what did he do for it?
Making a cool clubhouse for his friends.
Yeah. And his scripture is his dad's idiotic motorcycle ramp.
Idiot moron dad's stupid bullshit. Every time they fuck reading from that stupid book, it's like, this guy is a dullard.
Oh, I can't wait till we do the Sons of Anarchy.
It's an amazing show.
Oh, it rocks. But yeah. But Jack Bauer literally dies and comes back to life.
yes.
There is so much stupid Bauer shit. I think is it season 3 where he's going undercover with a cartel and he gets addicted to heroin.
Yeah. He'll do that for you.
Yeah.
Well, he will get on smack to save America. And then he doesn't care.
He just like cold turkeys it off. That's
and later on he turns himself over to China to be tortured for a year. And then the next season starts, they just get him up and they're like, all right, go back out there.
Yeah, they're like, good job, good hustle. Yep. Hit the showers, kid.
Yep.
Yeah. He's constantly abused and beaten up and even murdered. He's just keeps on trucking. Jax Teller, goes out at the end of Sons of Anarchy.
Jack Bauer. Now that's the synthesis America needs.
That's the combination of the two people we know we are as Americans, right? It's what we interpret as when we look in the mirror, we see Jack Bauer. When we're out in the world, we're Jax Teller.
Absolutely.
We imagine how we look to the rest of the world, and it is a combination of those two. We're going out there. We're going into every country. We're telling the Koreans, no, you want us here. You want us to be here. You love this. And they're like, no, we don't. Can you leave? Can you fucking leave so we can end this war that we've technically been at for decades? We, set up these bases in all these countries. We run these illegal operations in every corner of the earth. And we're like, no, listen to me. It's like, do you remember that scene where this is a great example of the writing in 24, where to get in with a domestic terrorist group, they have a witness who's in WITSEC who is literally a child pornography producer. Like they couldn't think of anything else to make him, like they couldn't characterize him in any way, like give him dialogue options to make him bad. So they're like, I guess he's a pedophile and a child murderer. And the government's protecting him. I mean, really proto-QAnon.
Yeah, and, honestly, yes, I told you.
And Jack Bauer just fucking murks him so he could get in good with the domestic terrorist cell.
It's good that he had that guy to kill, that he didn't have to do something more morally gray.
Yeah, and when he kills him, like the deep state cucks are like, you can't kill a witness, and he's like, fuck you. That's how we think we're acting, and we think like the rest of the world are the deep state cucks, and like you can't do that. Like you can't just kill the undoubtedly evil man, the most evil man we could think of. Oh, I can have my cake and eat it too, because it makes me able to do this life-saving mission, which is what that ends up being how Jack Bauer saves Los Angeles. That starts the chain of events. But to the rest of the world, what that event looks like, that exact same event, it looks like Jax Teller waking up at 3 p.m., showing up late to a barn, to buy a Stinger missile from a guy in the IRA, losing a fist fight to that 70-year-old man, and then the missile errantly getting fired and killing like 20 people. That's what's actually happening, and that's what it looks like to the rest of the world.
Well, I mean, it's the two sides of the American character. It's the D.H. Lawrence quote, the essential American soul is hard, isolate, stoic, and a killer. And then it's Wimpy saying, "I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today." We make the world our bitch through the fanatical and persistent application of violence across the land, and that buys us a ability to create generations of Jax Teller dullards to walk around in giantly oversized jeans and have sexy parties at your motorcycle club where a woman in a bikini reads the newspaper.
Yeah, and I mean, I do think it's very conspicuous now that in the Trump fandom, in the Trump cultural world, no one talks about 24. No one gives a shit. It's gone. No
one cares.
I think it's about as forgettable as I'm characterizing it, because I never see anyone talk about it. And it's crazy because it went on for so long and so many people watched it. And one of the most senior justices on the highest court in the land would talk about it all the time. And no one talks about it, not even conservatives.
No, it's amazing. I remember more than I think you how ubiquitous that show was, and how it was woven into the very thread of not just popular culture but politics as it existed as a discourse, and it's completely gone. It's like Avatar.
Yeah,
I know you, that makes you sad, but Avatar. But I do agree with you that it will come back, and it will finally take over culture. But it hasn't happened yet.
No, it has to happen under Biden.
Yeah.
Look.
Oh, absolutely.
It is weird. Avatar is one of the most financially successful movies of all time. Not a peep. I'm the only guy who talks about it.
You really are.
Yeah, but and Marianne Williamson.
Yes.
But more Trump people, the things they like, and it's not that it's dated because they love 300 and 300.
Oh God, yes.
When was that? 2007, I believe.
Yeah.
They're fine with picking up things from long. Like, how many gifs have you seen of Donald Trump's fat head put on
Leonidas kicking the deep state into the hole?
Yeah.
Yeah, just awful.
Or Sons of Anarchy. I see a lot of Sons of Anarchy shit. I think it really broke their heart that Ron Perlman is a
they don't like that
cuck lib. That really hurt their feelings. But like tons of things that are from generally the same time frame. You just can't do it with this show. I think because it's like you can't equate Donald Trump or Ted Cruz or anyone with Jack Bauer.
Yeah,
because if Jack Bauer, if he's like Mr. I can't complain.
Yeah, exactly. His misery is too stoically endured, and we're past that point. We went to Iraq, it fucked us up, and now just grievance with each other is the point. We're screaming into each other's faces at any time, every inconvenience we suffer to like build ourselves up to the moment of cathartic violence, and that means that we have to always be complaining. Yeah, we cannot because what a guy who, as Trump talks about, a guy like Jack Bauer who does all that and in exchange for what, like a $60,000 government salary is a fucking sucker.
Jack Bauer is a huge sucker. Huge.
Yep.
He one of the worst deals ever made.
Absolutely. And we could imagine this guy as a hero before Iraq, but afterwards and Afghanistan. Anyone who fucking went over there, sorry, you're a sucker. And does that make me a hypocrite? No, because at the time, I thought you were going to be a winner.
Yeah.
There's no hypocrisy there. I like winners. I like the guys who don't get captured. That's the American ethos. Winning validates you. It doesn't matter how you did it. And fucking losing is unarguable. And if you're a loser, you get the fucking gate. And I'm sorry, but our veterans and our heroes, unless they're willing to fucking do TikTok dances with dead Taliban guys and create racist coffee franchises, they're fucking losers. Unless they can make a brand, they can suck everyone off.
The only military heroes that cultural conservatives hold, it's Chris Kyle, who lied so much that he's practically a myth. He practically wasn't real at this point. Yeah. So much of what he said was pure fiction that he might as well be Gilgamesh. And then Eddie Gallagher, who overcame the inherent loserdom of fighting in these loser wars by being so awful that he triggers the libs.
Yep. Yeah, we did. Is this mission successful? Has he made America safe? No, waste of time and money and blood. But goddamn, he triggered those fucking libs, including the libs in his own unit and the libs in the military court.
Yeah.
He triggered all the libs because there's libs everywhere, and triggering them is the only value.
Jack Bauer never triggered any libs.
Never triggered any libs.
He never triggered any libs. He never bitched about how unfair everything was to him. So he is persona non grata from the modern conservative movement. We watch a lot of conservative stuff for the show. You know, I think we watch, for our demographic, we watch more than anyone else.
Certainly. Amongst our demographic, yeah.
Have you noticed how few of the movies and shows and everything we've seen are about troops?
Yeah, nope.
They're not about troops. They're not about, like, government agents. They're not about cool military assassins. The only guy who still does that really is Steven Seagal, and he's just a head case. You know, he just does that because he thinks that's about him. But
right. Well, yeah. I mean, he's not in touch with the world as it exists.
Yeah, he's a Serbian citizen.
Yeah.
To come full circle a little bit, he literally is. But it's like they're of no use to the modern conservative movement because there is a subconscious thing where everyone accepts that, like, our wars aren't heroic, so we don't have war heroes.
Yeah.
Democrats they're late to the game. They're still into this. Democrats, you know, they love veterans. They love making things about veterans.
Because they're always 10 minutes behind because they're always accommodating. They're not leading it. They're only reacting to conservatives. They're only reacting to conservatism. So while the conservatives are building up this head of steam about worshiping troops, they're like getting in their wake, and it takes too long for them to realize, oh no, as soon as they lost, the troops became losers and they don't care anymore. And they're still there. Look, troops, we got troops. No, there's so many troops. Nobody cares, buddy. Nobody cares.
The only conservative troops that you'll see depicted in conservative media are former troops who are now using their skills on people in America.
Yep.
That's what Gran Torino is. That's what a lot of it, like, and just from the lower
range 15.
Yeah. From these lower budget operations, even like that's the idea is that, like, okay. Well, you kind of wasted everyone's time over there. We all subconsciously accept that. But, like, what if you used your sniper skills on Nellie Orr? Yeah, what if you used them on an Antifa? But it's like, yeah, no one cares about the veteran shit anymore, and no one cares about a hypothetical Jack Bauer. If there was a conservative network that you were pitching to that had a bunch of money, you really wanted to sell something, and your two options are making a show or a movie about a racist wrestling coach who gets fired, or about, like, a troop that saves his entire unit and then, like, gets canceled for cultural appropriation, you're going to make the thing about the wrestling coach. Mm-hmm. Because at least you can write him winning. Even in the broadest stretches of fiction, you cannot make Americans imagine a military adventure that we come back from victorious.
No, it's you go to war, you will at best suffer thanklessly. And that's not the cathartic fantasy that you want in your entertainment products.
No, yeah, you don't get to escape, and there is no government agent that people even find heroic, unless you're a lib. Actually,
the libs, they're once again 2 steps behind. Now there's tons of cops they love. They have their own Eddie Dirty Harry in the form of Peter Strozik.
Yeah, pathetic. But those are the only people you could revive 24 with. If you made...
Nope, it would have to be lib.
It would have to be lib, and it would, like, Jack Bauer would still be apolitical. But he would just be...
absolutely.
Yeah, he would just be trying to do his job, and then there would be, like, just this off, like, Alec Baldwin coming in being like, I want you to arrest the most qualified woman ever.
Yep.
By the way, I've never been to... Like, it would be like that. And then he would, like, find out that he's doing Russia and have to arrest him. That's what it would be. But they would have, like, the Proud Boys kill his wife.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. And they would just be like the Muslim bad guys on 24, just these faceless dorks and Fred Polo. They would like one of them might like say Keck or something as a sop to the more online people in the audience, but it'd just be pure indulgence of the lib-id, which is now that fantasy of stoic endurance on behalf of the Republic.
Yeah, no.
Which is why Amy Coney Barrett has to be on the Supreme Court.
Yeah. No, being a lib now is about suffering, not quite in silence.
No, God, no.
Yeah. But
but without losing your principles.
Yeah. You never gave in. You never nuked the filibuster. Good for you.
Yep. You never pressed the win button.
Yeah.
Because that would have been cheating.
Yeah. So if you are, as we said, the son of a crooked ISI officer, you probably gambled away your dad's 25 mil on CSGO cases. We've all done it.
Yep.
Here's how you want to do a solid for your old man and your family. You want to be the hero like your dad was. Pitch this show. Pitch Liberal 24.
Yeah, honestly, they're waiting to give you your money at this. This is going to be the fantasy now going forward, whether or not Trump wins or loses.
Yeah, you have your work cut out for you. You have a lot of research to do. You have to find out a bunch of boring Mueller shit. Believe me.
Oh, God, yeah.
I know more than the average person, and even I'm not scratching the surface. There's these two very average-looking people that had a very hot affair. There's another husband and wife team that knew this guy named Glenn Simpson, and then
they did know Glenn Simpson.
So fucking mad. Then there was this like lying British guy who like said the president got peed on
with his dossier.
He got peed on.
There was unmasking.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the unmasking's big. Susan Rice is your hero for some reason. Put this together. Crack those books, and again. Jack Bauer is a Robert Mueller type. He's apolitical, probably votes. Last guy he voted for is probably Mitt Romney. But
yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, he's going to get undermined by the Cheeto in chief. And you got your whole thing cut out. What you write, it can't be any more boring than what I just watched.
Absolutely not.
There's no way.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
And then you can do all the violence to the Proud Boys, all the torture that they did to those Muslims that was so disturbing in the Bush years. Now it'll be good because they're Nazis. They're essentially evil.
Yeah.
Which the Muslim terrorists were not. Their conditions were produced by economic realities and colonialism. These guys are just purely evil. So you could torture them and kill them.
Right. Remember the torture debates. The point of them was not that no one deserves this and this has no place in a society of laws. It's that only do it to the bad people, I guess.
Only do it to bad people.
The original argument for torture in the first place.
Yeah. Oh, wait. No, you just had the wrong bad people. Darn it. Turns out we didn't actually believe in any of this stuff. We're just stuck in the fucking moral Ouroboros of liberalism, chasing our tail forever, never recognizing that we're moving right at a nonstop pace because we're only responding to a hegemonic or a reactionary turn.
And things like the military and the deep state and the police and whatever. They're hot potatoes.
Yeah.
One year you pass them to the conservatives and they do their best to make something like 24. Then another year you pass it to the liberals and they make something like Homeland. Mm-hmm. It's just going to be like that until, well, not the sun blows up. The sun's going to get us first. But
I think what we've just realized is that not only should this be done, but it's inevitable. Yeah. Under Biden, if Biden wins, there will be this in some form or another. It will be the way for them to now experience power again. The power of the state in the hands of the good guys, and they're gonna do like a violent reenactment of the Mueller report in some form or